Now for us to set this page so that it prints the exact way that we want it, it shows all of our columns and then it excludes everything outside of that. So what we need to do first is this. If I go to the page layout tab, you see that we have a group for page setup, and on the page setup group we have all of the options that we actually saw when we went into print preview the other time. So you can set the margin from here, you can change the orientation from portrait to landscape, you can set the sizes just like we saw the other time. Then the print area, you can set that, you can set page breaks, we've not talked about this yet, and the print styles. But one thing I want to bring to you first is this. If you look at the bottom right of the screen, we have some buttons here. So the first one is the normal layout, just like saying that this is the normal view that we do most of the work in Excel. Then we have the page layout and we have the page break preview. So if we go to the page layout, for example, this is what we see. We'll come to that in a moment. If I go to the page break preview, this is what we'll see, and this is the view that tells you how Excel will actually print out this page. So if we look at this closely, you see a thick border, a thick blue border around the data area. So the enclosed area is what will come out on a page or that will be printed eventually. If we want to correct this to ensure that what we have on this small table does not get printed, what we need to do is to drag this blue border, we drag it in up to the area that we have data. So now this gray area, this gray part of the worksheet would never get printed. So let's try that. I do Ctrl P, and now we see that this is what we have now. Our data is sitting nicely now on this page. So the excess that we had initially, that is out of the way. The other thing we may want to do here is, let's assume that we feel that this particular page, this data here, we want to split it into two pages. We don't want everything to be on a single page like this. Maybe the portion of the data that is below, we want it to go into another page. What we can do is we can come in here to where we want to insert a sort of, it's called a page break. You just click anywhere you want the page break to be on, and then you come to the option here, breaks at the top, and I say insert page break. Once I click on that, you see now that our page has been split into two. I have page 1 at the top and page 2 at the bottom. And this is exactly how it's going to appear on the print preview. So if I go now to click on Ctrl P to go to the print preview, you see that some part of the data has now been truncated. And if I go forwards to page 2, you see that portion of the data in here. But the other thing you will notice quickly is that when I'm on page 1, I get to see the header, region, market, store, and like that. But as soon as I go to page 2, I no longer see the header. So I would want to repeat the headers on all of the pages. So what I can do is this, I go back. And if you want to go back, you can just press escape. What I would want to do is I can come here to the print styles, this button here that says print styles. If I click on this, and now here I have an option that says rows to repeat at top. What are the rows I want to repeat on all of my pages? So I click within this box and then I highlight my top row. Everything on my top row, I highlight that. And you see now that it says 1 to 1, which means the entire row 1 is what I want to repeat on all of the pages. You don't have to bother stressing yourself to highlight just where your data is. Remember that everything outside of this blue border would never get printed, so you're safe. Everything outside of that would never come in place. So I click on OK, and now if I do Ctrl P, we see our page. This is our header on page 1. If I go now to page number 2, we see that we now have our header here. So for all the pages that you have, your headers would always get repeated. The other thing we may want to do quickly here is, what if we want to sort of have some headings for this report when we get it printed? So for that, we'll need to go to the page layout. So if I click on page layout, and here I see that we have some options at the top here. So if I come in here, you see that we have an header option here. I'm just trying to zoom into this. So here I have the header option. I can add a header here. So I click within this header box, and then I probably say this is some sales report for 2024, something like that. And then within this header, there are some other sections here as well. So if I come into this, maybe I want to add the page number. I can go back to the header and footer. There is a header and footer tab that comes up, a conceptual tab. So I click on this, and then in here I can click on page number. So I click on page number, that adds it here. So you get to see a code, but once you click out, it shows you the exact thing that you will see. Then maybe at the bottom, maybe you want to have a footer as well. You can add a footer in the same manner. Maybe here I just want to say that I want to add to this date here, for example. Maybe I say current date. I have that here, and then at the far right here I just want to type ID analyst, like that. Alright, so this is what I have. Let's go back to check our print preview. So you see here on our print preview at the top we have the header, sales report for 2024. I have the page number, I have the date at the bottom here, and I have ID analyst at the bottom right. And if I go to page number 2, it will be all repeated on page number 2. Page 2, this is correct, and the date and ID analyst. So this is how you can format and arrange your data in the way that you want it printed, and you can add a few other things, header and footer and stuff. So with this, we've come to the end of the module on data entry. In the next module, we'll begin to talk about functions in Excel.